So being 5:30, I'll start the meeting. We don't have any apologies and leave of absence. Number one, co-option of a committee member in the event of a vacancy. We have a quorum, so that's okay. Number two.
Lord Mayor, if you like.
Oh, Lord Mayor, can we co-opt you? Is that okay?
Yeah, for about 10 minutes or so I can be on. Yep.
Okay, great, thank you. Can I have somebody move that, please? Councillor Dutta, seconded by Councillor Harvey. Confirmation of minutes, can I have someone move that, please? Thank you, Councillor Harvey. Number three, consideration of supplementary items. Being none, we'll move on to number four, indications of pecuniary and conflicts of interest. Are there any? No, being none, we'll move to 5, transfer of agenda items. Would anyone like to transfer any items? No, being none, we'll move on to 6, report 6.1, the Children's Mayor Program, and I'll just let Sophie do a little bit of an introduction, if that's okay.
Sure. Thank you, Councillor Sherlock. So each year for Children's Week we do hold a reception for children in the Lord Mayor's rooms and in the ballroom. Last year, 2021, for the first time we built on that annual program with the Children's Mayor Program. You would have all met our fabulous young Children's Mayor and Deputy Mayor when they presented to Council, so this report just provides a bit more of a fulsome update on that. The program was really well received by schools. We had some really strong feedback from teachers, from parents and from students about the level of engagement with their local government, particularly that kind of democratic awareness, which is really fantastic, and getting those students to really switch on to what they saw as potential for the City of Hobart. So we did build in some educational components which you would have in your agenda with that info pack for schools, and we'll refine that again this year if we're to continue that program. We had 15 submissions from 11 different schools across Hobart. We did have a few Greater Hobart schools asking to participate as well, but for the first year we really had said it was for Hobart specifically. And Alex was nominated by a panel as our Children's Mayor and Edie as our Deputy. We also nominated 2 runners-up. So we had Lord Mayor, Deputy, Lord Mayor, CEO and the Children's Commissioner participate on that panel. And those students were then invited to a day's meetings with council officers, with the Lord Mayor and Deputy Lord Mayor, to share their ideas and to get that feedback, direct connection with those officers responsible for the ideas they submitted. As you'll see in the agenda, we have a really brief summary of all of those ideas that the students presented, and just a really quick snapshot of officers' responses there for you. The proposal in this report is that we continue this program. We feel it's really doable within our current staffing capacity. We did last year also run that Hidden Histories event, which was a really big and fantastic event for students and young people and children and families in the city. It was amazing. The whole building was taken over by young people, role-playing and getting really involved, but we just found that on current staffing capacity, we didn't feel that we could do it justice each year going forward for now, but that's something that we'll continue to look at when we have potential staffing capacity. It certainly was a well-received event. That's a broad overview. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. Are there any comments or questions? No? Being none, can I have somebody move the motion, please?
Look, I will make a comment. I did enjoy the students coming in to present to us, and I think it is a worthwhile exercise. So yes, it has my support to continue, and $1,000 I think is very little and well spent, encouraging kids to, just starting to socialise local government in schools. I think is a good thing. Thank you.
Can I just add? I think it all went really well last year, and thank the staff for their involvement in professional engagement, and they really made the program work and made the students all that were involved feel very comfortable. So that was really fantastic. I do wonder about whether we should be having a bit more, taking their submissions a little bit more seriously, because that was feedback from the Children's Commissioner, was that, because they're all going to get a letter. They probably haven't got it yet because I'm sure it's quite a bit of work to do the letters. But you know, the Children's Commissioner said that it's really important that children feel that their contributions aren't just kind of dismissed, but they feel like, you know, they've been considered, and maybe next year we, you know, have a council report that actually goes through the different suggestions, which are obviously in children's language, but translates them into adults, you know, or bureaucratic sort of, you know, what's possible in our council, and then puts it up to elected members to consider whether those ideas can be part implemented, you know, or not. But you know, for it to actually, their suggestions to be taken into account a little bit more. You know, if anyone's got any comments on that.
I do, to start with, Lord Mayor. So there's a whole lot more that's happened in the background behind this report. So we have got full letters drafted that once, you know, if this report is approved, then they will come through to your office. We've met with a really large number of staff and had discussions. So some projects are in train. So, you know, there's conversations with NGOs that we're kind of developing things. So certainly the letters back to students do indicate a bit more that this is being considered. Obviously, there are quite a few submissions from these children that don't necessarily fit in the scope of our work and aren't necessarily doable. So I guess we've had that conversation where we think things are doable or where they're potential for the future. We've indicated that back to students. But certainly it would be to council to consider whether they wanted to strengthen this program. You know, I know the Commissioner suggested the idea of a grants program or something overseen by young people. So if that was something council wanted to consider, you know, that obviously is a different approach, but that's over to you to think about, I guess. Yep.
Yeah, maybe that might be the next stage after next year. But I do think it would be good maybe after the next year's program that we do take a report up to council with the recommendations and you know, actually ask the council to consider whether it wants to kind of endorse or adopt any of those ideas. But yeah, next year.
Great, thank you for your comments. Did you want to? Yes, great. Yes?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, Lord Mayor, that would be really interesting and a bit of an incentive for people to come forward with ideas if we said we will commit to implementing you know, if it's a doable idea.
Yeah, great. Some things to consider. Thank you. Are there any further comments or questions? No? Being none, can I have somebody move the motion, please, or the item? Thank you, Councillor Harvey. Is there any dissent? No? Being none, I'll move on to item 6.2, the Aboriginal acknowledgement at the front of Town Hall, and I'll once again hand over to Sophie. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. Yeah, so it's an update on this project. It's just another step on the way. This particular proposal will be the subject of a development application that will come to council in a fulsome way for approval. So this is sort of the next little stage. The project came out of the Aboriginal Commitment and Action Plan as a visible way to acknowledge Aboriginal people in our city. This was seen as a significant site. The gardens, from a heritage perspective and from an Aboriginal community perspective, were selected as the most appropriate location for this acknowledgement. So as the project team went forward, we had submissions from 3 Aboriginal artists that were really, really different and diverse. The panel, including Aboriginal community members and staff and a diverse range of staff, considered those and have selected Caleb's work, which is in the agenda for you to consider tonight. It was the most contemporary response and we felt that it would stand the test of time, I suppose. It invites a contemplative response to the sense of the country we stand on. And the panel felt that that was quite strong, and it's quite a simple design, which is a nice juxtapose to the building. So the work is included there for you to consider. Obviously the planning approval would come at the next stage if we have landlord consent to move forward with approval from council. And there's a really modest fee involved in this whole project. It's not a large scale at all. So 9,000 at the very top end is the full cost for installation. Yeah, so there's still a few little steps with engineering and tree, exact placement, things like that we have to work through at the next stage. But we did just want to alert council to the design proposal and get your feedback on that at this stage. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Yes, Councillor Harvey.
So if this aligns with our Aboriginal action plan and it's directly from that?
Yeah, that's right, Councillor Harvey. So there is an action in the plan to explore a plaque of some sort for Town Hall and to increase those acknowledgements broadly. So this is not a plaque on the building as we might have originally thought. This is a much better solution in the minds of all those involved. Yeah.
Okay. And a few natives around the particular plaque. So we won't be planting that whole garden, it'll just be a corner of that garden, I assume, planned so far?
Yeah, at this stage we'll work with the parks team obviously to look at those plantings, but the designer certainly saw that some plantings around it was really important to kind of ground the piece. But they are tricky garden beds in terms of drainage and watering to keep water up, so that's been the feedback to date, but we'll certainly have a look at that with the parks team as we move forward. Yeah. Yeah,
sure. Okay, I'm happy to move the item.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Harvey. Are there any other comments, questions? No, being none, I'll put it to the vote. Is there any dissent? Being none, I consider that carried unanimously. Item 6.3, applications of...
Sorry. Thank you.
Okay, see you later. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
See you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Item 6.3, applications approved under the delegated authority of the Director of Community Life for quick response grants. Can I have somebody move that be received and noted, please? Councillor Harvey, thank you very much. Is there any dissent? No, being none, we'll move on to 7, the Committee Action Status Report. 7.1, Committee Action Status Report. Can I have somebody move that, please?
Can I just ask through you, Chair, are there any items here that we're close to removing? I'm just reading through on a tiny little screen, but if the directors, whoever, point me towards things that we've nearly completed and they're coming off the list.
Chair, through you, look, officers are certainly working through with the family the issue of the commemoration to Mr. Sultan. So that's still a little way off, but we would expect that to be come back to committee with a formal report soon. And the items on there, Councillor Harvey, that relate to the taste, we would look to be dealing with those soon as well in light of the success of the event this year. So we hope to be in a position to report back to committee the next 2 to 3 months on that one.
All right, okay. Yep, there's actually not as many there as I thought. There's only the 8 items, yep.
Okay.
So have we shrunk that recently? It looks like this list is way down on what I can't remember last time. How many items have we taken off? It seems like we're working through them quite well.
Good management, Councillor Harvey.
Yeah, well done. Yep. Take tomorrow off. Yep.
Thank you very much. Any further comments? No, we'll just put that to the vote. Any dissent? No, being none. Councillor Harvey, did you move that? Yes, okay.
I'm happy to move it if
yes,
I didn't.
Yes, okay, great. Okay, thank you. No dissent, so I consider that carried unanimously. Number 8, questions without notice. Are there any? No, being none, can I please have somebody